So after the creation of the Franciscan rock, the story of Mount Diablo is a little bit more straightforward. Basically, it's a story of rocks deposited in a marine environment, and over the eons, the water gets shallower and shallower until finally, dry land. We're looking to the east towards the Central Valley, and we see upturned layers of rock. It's called the Great Valley Sequence. They were originally deposited flat. These are sedimentary rock layers. They're products of weathering of the old Sierra Nevada, the Sierra Nevada Mark I, not the Sierra Nevada that's there today. These were a range of volcanoes during dinosaur times. And as they were weathered and eroded, sediments were carried into an inland sea and deposited, thousands of feet thick. And when Mount Diablo was uplifted in recent times, up came the edges of these layers. And that's what we can see today, these upturned edges. The closer you are to Mount Diablo, the older the rock layers. The further away, the younger. And these extend down thousands and thousands of feet and come up into the Sierra foothills on the other side. The Great Valley Sequence, those are Mesozoic age rocks, contemporary with Franciscan rocks. Although they, unlike the Franciscan rocks, created thousands of miles away, were created here. So those are our homegrown rocks, our homegrown bedrock. For the next page in the Mount Diablo geological story, come forward into the Cenozoic era, the age of mammals. 50 million years ago was a time of global warming. There was lots of carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere. The average temperature around the world was 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit higher than it is today, tropical. And in this area, it was rainy, tropical, wet. And the Sierra Nevada, the old volcanoes, they were gone. The granitic rock that we know of today, that was finally exposed at the surface, uplifted to about 2,000 or 3,000 feet. The quartz sand of that old granitic rock was carried to the west by rivers and dumped into deep basins where Mount Diablo is today to form the rock that would be called the Damaging Sandstone. And that's the rock that every teenager in the Bay Area is familiar with. Those are the wind caves at Rock City. The next geologic epoch that's recorded on Mount Diablo, well, you have to come forward 25 million years. There's a gap. By 25 million years ago, the deep basins were gone, but we were still underwater, still no Mount Diablo. It was a shallow inland sea. But things were starting to look familiar, because if you took your boots off and went wading in that shallow inland sea, you would see some of the creatures that historically were found in San Francisco Bay. Oysters and scallops and clams and mussels. But somewhere in that inland sea, there must have been an opening to the Pacific Ocean, because one of the fossils that we find is a sand dollar, a fossilized sand dollar. And those little creatures, they can only live in water that has the same salinity as open ocean. So we know there must have been an opening to the ocean in that old inland sea, just like there is with San Francisco Bay today. And in fact, geologists have given that inland sea the name San Pablo Embayment. Finally, the water receded about 10 million years ago. We have dry land here. Still no Mount Diablo. What we have is a river valley. And had you taken a hike in that river valley 10 million years ago, well, it might have been quite a harrowing experience, because some of the critters there would have been quite unfamiliar. There were huge dire wolves running around. You would have had to dodge saber-toothed cats. People worry about the occasional mountain lion sighting today. The saber-toothed cat got you. There wouldn't be much left to bury afterwards. There were prehistoric camels. There was a very strange elephant-looking creature called a Gomphotherium, a mastodont. And we know it lived around here back 10 million years ago because when the river flowing through the valley flooded, a quirk in the topography caused many of the drowned animals that were being carried along in the torrent to be deposited in what today is called the Black Hawk Fossil Quarry. And that's our clue to the ancient animal life of Mount Diablo area. Still no Mount Diablo. Mount Diablo is actually one of the youngest features in the landscape. But how Mount Diablo got here, well, that's the hard part of the story.
We'll save that story for stop number 8 at marker 9. There's a promontory there called Devil's Pulpit.